Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunday morning and chapter 9 of Gwyneth Ever After. It is another gloomy day here, a little bit of rain. I was hoping to get out. Apparently, I got a reminder from the Farmer's Almanac. I can go out and plant lettuce now. And because our snow melted early this year, I actually can see my vegetable garden. And I'm hoping that I might be able to get out and do that, but maybe not today. I think today, after I do this, almost forgot. If you are at all interested, I am going to be starting a Facebook Live reading of my urban fantasy series over on my Facebook page for Lydia Hawk Books. So it's facebook.com/Lydia Hawk with an E books. And I'll put a link in the comments below after this. But I'm going to start reading from Sins of the Angels there today. So if you're at all interested, I'll be doing that at 9 o'clock, and you can hop over and join me there too. So anyway, that's about it. I think after the readings, I'm going to have a super lazy day today, and I'm going to park my butt in a chair, turn on some Netflix, and finish crocheting a little project for my still yet to be grandbaby, who has not put in an appearance yet, much to my daughter's everlasting frustration, because I think she's had enough now. So I think she's 3 days overdue now, so she's ready anytime. But we're going to dive in for Chapter 9, Gwyneth Ever After. Well, Sandy's voice demanded the instant Gwyn put the telephone receiver to her ear. How did it go? Hello to you too, said Gwyn, and I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Yeah, whatever. Now, how did it go? Gwyn grinned and tucked the receiver against her shoulder so her hands were free. She continued slicing mango into a bowl of fruit salad for Maggie. You know what you are, don't you, Sandra Masters? Nosy. Gwyn relented. It went fine. A small silence ensued on the other end of the line. That's it? You invite a man into your home for the first time ever, and that's all you're going to tell me? It went fine? There's nothing else to tell. He had dinner with us and stayed for coffee. That was all. Right, Gwyn, but if it hadn't been for Maggie... Gwyn's insides did a brief series of backflips. She paused in her slicing, afraid of doing damage to herself. As if she'd read her mind, Sandy said, Oh my. Oh my what? You have it bad. What? All I said was, it's not what you say that counts, Gwyneth. It's what you don't say. And you know it. You've told me everything about any other date you've ever had. What you ate, what you did. We ate tuna casserole and chocolate fudge ripple ice cream, and he cleaned my kitchen while I put the kids to bed. Then he asked to see my work, and then we had coffee. Is that better? Gwyn rinsed her hands in the sink and reached for the kitchen towel hanging on the fridge door. An image of Gareth wiping his hands on the same fabric popped into her mind. She took a clean one from the drawer. He cleaned your kitchen? Sandy echoed. Did you ask him to? Of course not. Hell, I haven't even met him, and I'm in love with him, her friend muttered. So, when are you seeing him again? I don't know if I am. Mommy. Try that again. A pathetic whine came from the sitting room where she'd left Maggie dozing on the couch. Was that my little magpie? Sandy asked, distracted at last from her third-degree routine. What's she doing home? She has a fever. I was up most of the night with her. Gwyn carried the bowl of fruit to her daughter. Maggie lay where she'd left her, cuddled under the duvet brought down from her bed. The flush of fever had gone from her cheeks, replaced by a pallor that made the normally robust 4-year-old look tiny and fragile. A single pink spot stood out on one cheek. Gwyn's heart dropped. Oh, no, she muttered. What? Sandy asked. Gwyn jumped. She'd forgotten she even held the telephone. You're not going to believe this, she told Sandy. She perched on the edge of the couch beside her daughter, dropped a kiss on the hot little forehead, and smoothed back damp hair. What? Sandy asked again, her voice impatient. Gwyn tugged Maggie's pajama top out of the way. Tiny pink dots covered the little belly. Gwen's heart plummeted even further, coming to rest somewhere in the region of her knees. She groaned. "Spots," she informed Sandy. "Spots?" "Chicken pox." "You're kidding." "Oh, believe me, I wish I was." Pulling a face at Maggie, Gwen leaned over to rub noses with her. She turned her attention back to her friend. "I have to go, Sand. I need to locate the calamine lotion and then pick up Nicholas. Guess I'll see you again when we're spot-free." Sandy, who had never had chicken pox, groaned. "Oh, I'd forgotten about that. I can't even help out." "Don't worry about it. It's temporary, and I've been through it before with Katie, so at least I know what to expect. I'm sure we'll manage. Call me later. At least I can communicate with you." Gwen laughed, said goodbye, and regarded her daughter ruefully. "Well, Munchkin," she said, "that'll teach me to brag about being ahead of schedule, won't it?" Gareth slammed the telephone receiver into its cradle. His curse echoed off Sean's beige living room walls and rang in his own ears. Damn it to hell, but that woman could be frustrating. His fingers tightened on the hapless instrument still in his grasp. Only with an effort did he refrain from ripping the phone cord from its jack and throwing the whole damn thing through the glass balcony door. After all this time, knowing he was coming here, knowing what it meant to him, bloody hell, how could she? He threw the phone onto a chair, watched it bounce apart, scowled at the faint dial tone. He should have seen it coming. He paced the width of the black and white area rug between leather couch and balcony doors. After the 16 years of hell she'd put him through, knowing how her mind worked, he should have expected her to throw some kind of curve at him. But even if he had, this? How could he have expected this? He stopped beside the expanse of glass overlooking the Ottawa River 10 stories below and across the Western Parkway, slate gray in its reflection of a sullen November sky. He closed his eyes, picturing the 16 wrapped packages that filled a second suitcase in his bedroom, one for each birthday he'd missed, waiting, as he had, for a date that had just been ripped away from him. Damn Catherine's vicious hide. He wouldn't let her get away with this. He turned and snatched up the telephone again, stabbing the redial button with his thumb. He listened to the ringing and steeled himself for Catherine's melodic, slightly husky greeting. "It's me," he announced without preamble. "We had a deal. I'm here for 10 more days. I don't care how you do it, but you have exactly 5 of those to get her home. After that, so help me God, I'll cut you out of the picture and do this my way, Catherine. You know I will. Call me when you know her arrival date." He hung up again without waiting for her response. She wouldn't like it, but she'd cooperate. She'd wait until the last possible minute, not wanting to believe he'd called her bluff, but in the end, she'd do it. She'd bring Amy home because she knew she couldn't stand in his way any longer, and because she couldn't bear the thought of not controlling their daughter's first meeting with her father. Leaning against the sliding doors, he ran his free hand over the back of his neck, rubbing at the tension there. Typical. A 3-minute conversation with his ex-wife had him tied in absolute knots, the complete antithesis to how he felt after a conversation with Gwyn. His hand stilled at the sudden intrusion of Gwyn in his thoughts. Then he resumed his massage. Who was he trying to kid? Gwyn Jacobs hadn't been more than a few seconds away from his thoughts all morning, or most of the night, for that matter. In fact, after only 2 dates, the woman occupied entirely too much of his mind. Not a good thing when he'd meant what he told Sean about not getting involved. His gaze wandered to the wall clock hanging over the dining room table. 2:30. The afternoon stretched before him. He could phone his agent, he supposed. Knowing Angela, she'd have worked herself into a complete lather because he hadn't returned her calls yet. He'd probably catch her at lunch, but she'd be waiting to hear from him. And Gwyn would be waiting for her oldest to get home from school. Hell, there he went again. He sighed. His timing couldn't have been worse if he'd tried. The first time in nearly forever he'd felt more than a passing interest in a woman, and here he sat, embroiled in circumstances that precluded involvement of any kind. It just bloody figured. His mouth twisted. No liaisons. Nothing that might draw attention to his presence in Ottawa or make people wonder why he was here. Catherine's instructions had been clear, and he'd had no qualms about agreeing to them at the time, especially given the stakes. It wasn't every day that a man got to meet his grown-up daughter for the first time in 16 years, and he would have promised the stars if he'd thought it would smooth the way to that meeting. Recognizing the past tense of his thoughts, he brought himself up short. He still would promise the stars, even now, because as much as he enjoyed Gwyn's company, and as much unexplored potential as there might be between them, he wouldn't jeopardize his reunion with Amy. Not for anything. His gaze slid to the phone he hadn't put down yet. He thought of his promise to call and see how Maggie was doing. One phone call to check on a little girl. How dangerous could that be? We will find out tomorrow how dangerous that might be. That's the end of Chapter 9 and the end of this morning's reading. Let me know how you guys are doing. I wonder how everyone is faring in their various parts of the world with everything that's going on. I look outside and everything here looks so normal on the surface, and it's surreal to realize that, you know what it feels like? It feels like we've been caught in this bubble of time where everything is just standing still. And don't know how long it's going to last. I hope that the readings are helping to fill a few minutes of your day. I'm so glad that I'm doing this, especially this morning, because otherwise I would still be under the covers. My cats would still be howling at my door. It's one of those days where you just really don't want to get out of bed. So thank you for getting me up and getting me dressed and getting me functional. This helps. I might get something somewhat productive done today, even if it is just the crochet. And like I said, if you're up for it and you're curious about my urban fantasy series, I will be reading from Sins of the Angels over on my Facebook page for Lydia Hawk Books, which is my pen name. And I'll drop a link into the comments for you below in just a couple of seconds here, okay? So take care, say hi to me in the comments, and have a good day. Enjoy your Sunday. Bye.